What is going on, Wolfpack Nation? Hope everybody's doing well this evening. Thank you all so much for joining us once again for the Tuffy Talk live show. We got an exciting one today. We got myself, Layden Smith, here with Greg DeLeg and Michael Tracy. Again, looking forward to today's show. Again, today we'll be doing some NC State trivia start off, and then we'll be going over the USA Today preseason polls that came out today, talking about men's basketball, some other things as well. So definitely looking forward to today's show. So first of all, if you haven't already, obviously hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you're notified on all your devices whenever we go live, whenever we do any of our watch parties this season. Obviously, if y'all haven't seen already, we already scheduled our ECU watch parties. So Macon and Michael, and maybe even some special guests too, will be running the watch party for the ECU game. That will be a must join if you're watching virtually. As again, you'll be able to react and discuss the game alongside Michael and Macon. So again, make sure to check that out. And also too, if you haven't checked out our memberships already, make sure to do so. Again, for as little as $2.99 a month, you'll be able to get all kinds of exclusive Tuffy Talk perks, such as a private Discord community, members only videos, along with our weekly newsletter as well. And obviously, if you haven't already, follow us at Tuffy Talk Now on Twitter or Instagram. But with that being said, though, got to do a little bit of a, first of all, for those who are tuning in with us, make sure just to send us a hey. Let us know who's here. We'd love to know who's in here with us. I know we got a couple people in here with us right now. And also, if you have any topics that you want us to discuss today, or questions that you want us to discuss or address or whatever it may be, send that to us here in the comments. And then obviously throughout the show, just let us know what y'all are thinking. And especially here for the trivia here, it's going to be starting in a second. Make sure to let us know your answers, what you all think, and we'll see how this goes. But again, Greg, Michael, we're less than a month here. First time that we've had a live show, we're less than a month away from football being back. It's kind of surreal.
It's almost like Christmas, right? We're counting down.
Yes. So, no, it's better than Christmas.
That's true.
It's better. I mean, just because we can kind of go ahead and talk about that too. And here, you know what? Let's go ahead and jump into our Tuffy's Weekly Rewind since we got it, and we'll continue this discussion. Here we go. So obviously, one of the things I wanted to discuss here kind of real quickly is what up, Benjamin? Benjamin Orman says fantasy football champ is here. Yeah, we had Tuffy Talk here. Joined a couple NC State fans and did a fantasy football league. And Benjamin Orman, yes, won it last season. Congrats to him. But is a new year, is a new season, and a new champ is going to be crowned. So that's in the past, Benjamin. So coming for you this year. But anyway,
Huseman's out of championship.
TJ, what?
You remember that old back in the day? It was like TJ
Bengals
guy.
Oh yes. I didn't catch it. I was talking at the beginning part. So, So one of the things I wanted to kind of discuss here is, so I know with the Wolfpack stats, they put out a tweet talking about what game are you the most worried about, and it was basically almost because the options were Wake, Louisville, UNC, and then other, and
it was Clemson too.
Clemson was on there. Oh, okay.
I think it was other than Clemson because
other than Clemson. Well, yeah. I think that they didn't put that because of course all of us are thinking about worried about Clemson game, but I think obviously I think it was pretty much a tie between Louisville and Wake Forest, and honestly I voted Louisville just because I feel like that to me is a trap game because it's right before UNC. We're hopefully more likely heading into that part of the season with hopefully a lot of momentum. So it could be easy to kind of look towards the finish there and look at UNC. But I mean, Louisville with Malik Cunningham playing at Louisville is definitely no joke.
Yeah.
But again, just to me, I feel like, and I know from being at Victory Day on Friday, which was amazing. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. It's very clear that everybody is focused on one game and one game only, and not anything past that. They're focused on ECU, and that's it. That's all they want to get by. First game's first, and especially too because again, there's an insider piece to it because obviously, since ECU is a local school, a lot of recruits are from the area, just like we have a lot of recruits from the area. Obviously, Doran is probably, he never forgets anything. I'm sure he doesn't forget the last time that he went to ECU and Scotty Montgomery throwing the X to the crowd, shoving it in his face. And then obviously for Ruffin McNeil as well, which again, I'm actually surprised that people aren't talking about it a lot, really. But, obviously the first time for Ruffin McNeil returning to Dowdy Ficklin since he got let go. I mean, assuming that obviously since Oklahoma didn't play at ECU, I'm sure he hasn't been back, and maybe he has. But first time being a part of a staff where he's been back to Dowdy Ficklin, not on the ECU sidelines. So, I mean, I think that players are going to want to win for him. I mean, the last thing they want to do is Ruffin McNeil to come back and him lose, to his whole team, that he got let go from. So, yeah, I mean, so Greg, I'll kind of hand to you first. What are your kind of initial thoughts, in terms of, game that you're looking at this season, and then specifically as we're getting closer, thoughts on the ECU game?
Yeah, I still stick with Wake. I think, you win that game last year, you're in the ACC championship. There's a really bad taste in our mouths from that game. November in Louisville, they may not be playing for much. If their record isn't great, the fans won't show up. So that becomes almost a non-factor. So with all that, I stick with Wake. I think that is the one that, if you're going to have a game other than UNC marked on the calendar, it would be the Wake game, just because of how, we came up so close. We were basically a onside kick away from potentially, either sending that game into overtime or winning it outright. So for me, that's the one. As far as ECU, again, I think we're going to be focused on one game at a time. They're not going to let this, now that these polls are starting to be released, I don't think that's going to get to their heads. Devin Leary, I've seen a couple of interviews with him, and he's getting all his hype, and he seems very level-headed. Coaches seem level-headed, players seem level-headed. I think that's going to be the model this year, one game at a time.
Yep, absolutely. Michael, anything to add on that?
Yeah, I think I do see what Greg's saying. If Louisville, I mean, by that time they could be out of it. They could have fired their coach by the end of November, if they have a rough start. So, like just on paper, I voted the Louisville game too on paper, but again, that game also could mean nothing by the time we get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I feel like it's gone pretty fast. Like we were at 60, or we were at like 70 days, and then 60 days, and now all of a sudden we're inside a month.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Well, and obviously too, I mean, like I saw one prediction that had Louisville at 5-7, which I'm like, I don't know about that. That's I have a hard time wrapping my head around it. Also, I couldn't really imagine they would fire Scott Satterfield, especially since they have so much recruiting momentum right now.
That's the only thing. Yeah,
They have a
they're
ton of
doing so
momentum.
well. Yeah.
So
they got number 2 or 3 running back in the class coming in, I think next year, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Yeah. So again, I mean, and I'm sure they're going to get more with how much focus they're putting on recruiting. So Will Pryor asked, "What's up, guys? You guys heading to the ECU game?" So Greg, myself, and Mackenzie will be there. Michael and Macon won't, but they'll be doing the watch party. And again, we may have some other guests as well. Definitely make sure to keep an eye out for it. In-game 14 Alpha says, "I'll be there at 9/9/3 or the ECU game. As I told Devin Leary, the Thomas brothers, Coach Doran, Tim Beck, Isaiah Moore, and Porter Rooks at Victory Day, as I was shaking tremendously in their presence." Yeah.
It's good company to be amongst.
And amen to that. Amen. Benjamin Orman says, "I still say Texas Tech. It just scares me, really." Yeah, I mean, Texas Tech, I feel like by that point, I mean, obviously with it being at home, third game in, so we're kind of have by that point we'll have the rush shook off for sure. It's gonna be a great crowd. Probably has that time been announced yet for Texas Tech?
Texas Tech, 7:30.
7:30.
Yeah, no. So a night game in Carter Finley, you're going to see the red lights for the first time. It's going to be popping.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't no.
Yeah,
again, I mean, Texas Tech last year had the worst pass defense in in college football. So, and I think we're pretty good at the passing game last time I checked. So that should be pretty.
Yeah.
That should be a huge
I mean,
deciding factor. Go ahead,
they
Michael.
had a good win in the bowl game over Mississippi State.
Yeah.
But I mean, all of them literally last or second to last in the Big 12 this year. I mean, they've got a new coach. He's recruiting well, but I think they're probably still a few years away.
Absolutely.
I saw an article. It might have been on 247 a couple weeks ago that they had coaches with the toughest first year schedules, and they ranked Texas Tech on the top 10, just because of having to come to state, and of course their Big 12 schedule. So they counted that one as a loss. So I'm not too worried about it. Obviously, it's the third game of the season. Anything can happen. Hopefully, nothing bad. So but I'm confident in that one.
Yep. And then Rusty asked the question, do you guys consider ECU a trap game? So again, here's my definition of a trap game is basically, to me, it's a game that you can look past. You can look past that game, such as or if you just had a big game and then you have a game afterwards. So for example, Florida State, I would consider a borderline trap game because it's right after Clemson. And so we could look past, we could be not look past them, because I feel like that's kind of a different definition of a trap game, because it's not
an emotional letdown.
Past them. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, because by that point you're either, if we lost, then more likely we put it all out on the line, and we're kind of bummed that we put it all on the line when we came out with the loss, or we came out with a huge win and we're feeling ourselves, and then we're not ready for that game.
Yeah.
But again, just to me, I feel like this team. And I actually was a part of the Pack Pride Twitter space, and one of the things which I messaged to them and they said on there as well is that the culture and the bondness between players and coaching staff this year is unbelievable. I mean, these guys are on a mission. They know what they're here to achieve. And I see them 100,000% going one game at a time. And then they focusing on playing their best every single week, because they know that if they blink for a second, they will get caught. So anyway, so talking about ECU, because there's no really trap to it. All we're thinking about right now is ECU. We're not looking past ECU to Charleston Southern. We're not looking past anything. We're looking about
What
ECU.
are you talking about? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's not like they got a great quarterback, Oh wait, we got his quarterback.
We took that one too. Okay,
so,
never mind.
So
they have a beautiful campus.
So
I don't know.
They probably do. I mean, Charleston, I'm sure it's a beautiful campus. And Michael, Greg, just trap game at all ECU.
I mean, could we lose? Certainly, but
sure,
it wouldn't be because it's a trap game, right? It's the first game of the season against a in-state team that, I wouldn't put it in the trap game category because we overlooked them or something. It'd just be probably because we make too many mistakes or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I would. You got players on ECU that probably maybe wanted to come state, maybe they weren't heavily recruited, that type of deal. If you any indication by the ticket prices, we are the most expensive ticket for ECU this year, so they'll be hyped about that. But
yeah, exactly. All right, so last question before we jump into our NC State trivia. Has Greg recovered yet from the Buffett concert yet? This is from Rusty.
I am good. I am good. I was very dehydrated that night. It was really hot, but first time experience, and it was great.
Cool. Perfect deal. All right, so with that being said, we'll head on over to NC State trivia, baby. Let's do this thing. All right, so with that being said, so we're going to do things a little bit different this time. So we're actually, instead of just yelling out what answer we have, we're going to be having the guys write it down. So we asked Greg and Michael to bring a whiteboard or paper, whatever it is. I think it looks like they both got. Looks like Greg's got a cool whiteboard. You guys see the whiteboard?
Yeah, I thought I had a whiteboard.
Greg. You gonna show it for the folks, or you're gonna hide it?
Well, I got a little bit on the bottom here, so I'll save it for the first one. So
okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. All right, so here we go. All right, so instant trivia. Let's do it. So question
So
number one.
wait,
Oh, go ahead.
are we writing and then write
Yeah.
our answer and then show it
So
immediately?
no,
No.
no.
Write
So
it and
write your
wait.
answer. So write your answer, and I'll go once, and then I'll go. Okay, go ahead and show your answers, and
Okay.
then you'll
Okay.
turn it to the camera. So and make sure too, for those who are tuning in as well, make sure to comment your answers as well. So when I say 1, 2, 3, send us your answers as well. So first question: there are 3 running backs in school history that have scored 5 rushing touchdowns in one game. Which one doesn't belong, or which one was not one of those 3? A. Reggie Gillespie, B. Stan Fritz, C. Ted Brown, or D. T.A. McClendon. So we'll give y'all like maybe 5-10 seconds or so. And obviously, we don't have Macon today, so he's usually one that's kind of keeping us on the border here. But all right, I hear some pins clicking. So all right, so here we go. 1, 2, 3. All right, looks like we got A for Greg, and then
C.
Michael, we got C, Ted Brown, and then Will Pryor says D, T.A. McClendon, as well as Endgame 14 Alpha. So actually, I guess we'll go ahead and get to you, Michael, first. So, Michael, you are correct, my brother. Ted Brown actually has never rushed for 5 touchdowns in one game. Reggie Gillespie, come on, Greg did the UNC game,
UNC
2018.
Yeah, I know.
Come on.
So I've become decent friends with Ted over the years, and I couldn't vote against him. So
well, it's true.
And I knew, and I know, right? I didn't know it was true, but I knew it wasn't Stan Fritz because that just seems too obvious. Who remembers that guy?
Well, I was actually, because one of the things for sure is, for me, it's actually kind of gotten tough / interesting making these questions, is because now it's not like simple, like who has the most rushing yards, who has the most passing yards. Now it's like, huh. And so when I saw this, I saw that Ted Brown wasn't one of the 3. I was like, oh, that's gonna be a good one, because I'm sure a lot of people will think, oh yeah, Ted Brown, of course, has rushed for 5 touchdowns in one game. Who wouldn't? He has every other rushing record and touchdown record there is out there.
Yeah, and I forgot Reggie got his 5th in overtime in that game, so I should have remembered. And I was there.
Reggie
I should have remembered. I know, I should have remembered.
Reggie the Beast. Yeah. And then Endgame says Reggie, the UNC game where it was freezing rain at Ghost Town, Keenan. Yeah, it was pretty empty. So all right, so here we go. Question number 2. And then Brandon and Benjamin, good answers there. I'm surprised I didn't catch more of the fans, but I'll take catching Greg. So all right. Question number 2. In men's basketball, which team of the 4 we have here listed has NC State had the worst historical win-loss percentage against? And so the 4 teams are Syracuse, Duke, Louisville, and Notre Dame. So again, who of the 4 between Syracuse, Duke, Louisville, and Notre Dame does NC State have the worst historical win-loss percentage against? So again, we'll give 5-10 seconds or so. We need the Jeopardy music in the background. I should have thought of that. But
Wolfpack Crazy, as we wait, yes, he did sing that song.
I need a different pen. You can't see it on when I hold it up.
Oh. Yeah, is that just a ploy to get you more time? Okay.
Yeah. No Googling.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, cool. Here we go. All right. Brandon Taylor says A ? All right, Greg. 1, 2, 3. All right. So we got D for both Michael and Greg?
No, C.
C. Oh, it's backwards for me. Okay.
Oh,
so
yeah.
C for Louisville, and Greg says D. Endgame at 14 says C. Will says C. Benjamin says D. So the answer is actually A, Syracuse.
Ooh, you suck.
So we only got one. Brandon Taylor actually got it. So we actually only have a 33.6% win percentage against them, which is the lowest. Duke is around 38%. And then Louisville is pretty low as well. But
my logic kind of worked there. I just had the wrong school. I went with a team that we didn't play as often. But
we actually don't have a good one either. We actually don't have a good one either against Notre Dame, but all 4 of these teams we don't have a great.
I figured it wasn't Duke because before Coach K got there, Duke wasn't anything. So
right. Right.
We played Louisville a few times in the 80s and won, so that was my thought process there. But,
yep, absolutely. So, congrats, Brandon, on that being the only one right. So, killing it so far. And again, I'm not keeping up with records, so I'll let you guys in the chat keep up with your records here, and you can let us know here at the end how y'all did, record wise, correct versus incorrect. And we got 6 questions today, by the way, so not 5, 6. So, all right, question number 3: which team was not a part of the original ACC 8?
I figured this is too easy.
Yeah, I figured I'd give a layup just to make sure everybody, to make sure everybody knows a little bit of basic AC history here. So, which team was not part of the original AC 8? A, South Carolina; B, Florida State; C, Clemson; D, Virginia. So again, if you've seen the ACC documentary or just know a little bit basic, should be able to get this. So, Greg, Michael, are y'all ready? All right.
Yep.
1, 2, 3. All right, we got B and B. And we got Endgame saying FSU and Brandon saying FSU. So, yep, Will Pryor says B. Yep. So, congratulations. Yep, everybody got it right. So,
can you name
Florida
one of the
State
conferences they used to be a part of?
that they
Florida
used to be a
State?
part of?
Yeah.
Ooh, look at you with the bonus.
Were they? They were
believe
independent for a long time.
They were, yep, and then they
That's
were
true.
in a
Southern?
conference.
Were they in the Southern?
I believe it was the Metro Atlantic.
Wow, throwback. And the Endgame says independent. And then Benjamin throws in a good one saying, "What's our record versus Bahamas Select, which is the team that the men's basketball team played against a couple days ago." So yeah, everybody got that one right. Figured that wouldn't be too hard, but just wanted to make sure, see if I caught anybody, that wasn't paying attention or maybe misspoke. But all right, question number 4: what is KL's first name? A, Susan; B, Sandra; C, Sharon; D, Kay. So again, it's A, Susan; B, Sandra; C, Sharon; D, Kay.
Oh gosh.
I'll be honest with you. I probably wouldn't have known this before I researched it today. All right. So we'll give y'all another 5 seconds. All right, Michael, Greg, let's see what you got. All right. We got B and A for Greg. A got Greg. Michael got B.
I think Susan was the other sister.
Yeah. So Brandon said A. Will Susan. B's. Will said B. Sandra. So it is actually B. Sandra.
Bruh.
So, yep. Sandra K. Yao. So Susan Yao is the other sister, the first ever woman All-American in NCAA athletics history. And I will forever remember that because, gosh forbid, because I'll tell you, Debbie Yao got it ingrained in our heads forever. Susan Yao was the first ever All-American. And thank you for that. I'm not complaining about that whatsoever, but
I knew Susan was one of them. I just couldn't remember which one.
Right. No, I got you. And Benjamin said D and then C. I mean, I was kind of curious if somebody actually said, isn't her first name K? So yeah, no.
I don't know. I thought it might have been a trick question.
Just nickname. And then Endgame also adds from your last question, Greg. FSU was in the Southern Intercollegiate Atlantic Athletic Association.
Yeah.
From 1902 to 1904. Okay, well that's
okay
then.
And then the Dixie Conference, and then they were independent from 51 to 91. Yeah, I think it was Louisville that I might be confused with.
Okay, interesting.
So,
cool. All right, so once again, y'all, so we're 4 questions in. Keep up with your records here. Again, I can't keep up now, with everybody, but it seems like we're pretty even though between Michael and Greg so far.
I've only got one right. What do you?
I was gonna say actually, Michael actually got all 3. So far, or all 3 out of 4.
Yeah,
3 out of 4. Okay, not bad at all. Not bad. All right, 2 more. Here we go. Question number 5. What sport did KL not coach during her tenure at NC State? A, basketball; B, volleyball; C, track; D, softball.
This one I got.
So what sport did KL not coach during her tenure at NC State? A, basketball; B, volleyball; C, track; D, softball. Okay. Another second. And 1, 2, 3. Let's see it, Greg and Michael. You got C and C. Brandon Taylor said C. Any others commenting in? Get another second. And your Endgame says D is softball. Will Pryor says D is softball as well. Well, to everybody except for Endgame, if Will Pryor, it was track. Yes. So she actually coached when she first came on. She coached all three. She coached volleyball, softball, and basketball all at the same time.
Just for anyone, I know on ACC network they show something. There's a K Yao special on there, and they actually talk about that on there.
Yeah.
So
make sure to check that out.
Really good documentary. Absolutely, that's where I was going with that.
Yeah. And then in-game jokes about, come on, guys, it's obviously basketball. Coach Yao was an assistant football coach under Amato. Hey, I'm sure he would have loved to have her. So she could probably slap some of those football players silly. So yeah. So pretty amazing for Kay to do that. So all right. Last question.
One of the before you go there, like I think there was a story on there that Kay Yao actually like drove like the team van or literally the bus or the van to the different events.
They had to play in like the practice uniforms,
yeah.
When they first started. And so no.
So anyway,
very little. They didn't have the all black uniform options and the red and like they didn't have all that. So
no budget.
Yeah, no budget, zero budget. All right, last question here. Question number 6. When was men's basketball's last Elite Eight appearance? A, 1984, B, 1986, C, 1988, D, 1990. So obviously everybody knows we had our magical run in 1983. So then basically every 2 years, in 1984, 86, 88, and 90, which year was our last Elite Eight appearance for men's basketball? Yeah. Figure I'd go with a little bit of a tougher question.
Tough one.
To kind of wrap it up here. Benjamin says C, 1988. All right. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. All right. We got C for Greg, and we got B for Michael, 1986. Will says C, 1988. Brandon says D, 1990. And then in-game says 1984, Kansas loss. So the answer is 1986, actually. So, So brought everybody, but to Michael and to who else got it? Somebody else got it.
Yeah, Will. No, sorry. No, that was it.
Nobody else got it in the comments. Okay, so only Michael. So geez. Hey, Michael, look at you. Okay. So yeah, 1986. So yeah, so after the year after we lost in the first round, if I'm not mistaken, to Kansas.
Yep.
And then the second, and then 1985 and 86, we went to straight back-to-back Elite Eights, and then we didn't go to another Elite Eight since. So it's kind of crazy actually think about how successful overall Jimmy V was. Won multiple ACC championships, won a national championship, multiple Elite Eights. So it's unfortunate, obviously, with the situation that happened. That unfortunately he wasn't able to continue his coaching career because I think he could. I mean, he's not like could go down as, definitely, obviously one of the most well-known coaches of all time. But I mean, he can make a case right there beside Everett Case. I mean, he's already there already. But I mean, he could have exceeded, honestly, if he would have had more time. I think.
Yeah.
So, all right. So with that being said, that is it. So let us know in the comments how everybody did. Michael, I think, killed it 5 out of 6, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So Greg,
we're not gonna talk about it.
We got a little study and do for next week. No, we might take a break because again, it's tough coming up with questions every single week. So we may take a week break or something like that. Yeah. So again, let us know in the comments. Also, let us know too if you're listening in with us as well. Send us a tweet. Let us know. DM us, whatever it is. Love to know how everybody else did. Who's watching in this after, or if you're watching this after on YouTube, comment in the comments below what your record was as well. We'd love to see. Brandon was 4 out of 6. Endgame says Michael killed it and I got killed. Will said 2 out of 5, but there was 2 out of 6. So another one there you're missing. But anyway, though. So,
also, if you got questions, DM us.
If you have great trivia questions, DM us, please, because that will help me specifically. Because I mean, obviously, as of recently, I've been the one putting them together, so that would help me a lot. I would appreciate it. So yes, if you have any great questions, DM us, please. Michael, what you got?
So I do one in the newsletter every week too, and I've been
That's true.
I just pick a sport and look at and go to like the record books and just print out of there and say who did this or when was the last time this happened or something. So that's just
there you go. I appreciate the tip, Michael. That'll be helpful. And Benjamin said his record was terribly. All right, cool. So with that being said, we'll jump on over to tweets of the week. Here we go. Oh, whoops. All right, so first tweet of the week is from Pregame Empire, and for those listening in, it's the graphic of like the dragons. I can't remember which show it's from, but basically like there's like these dragon heads that come out of the water, and some of them are looking fierce, and then you just have this one that's like this goofy face with like his eyeballs all mixed up and his tongue looking out, kind of looking a little like he doesn't belong there. And so basically, has 3 dragons which are looking fierce, and at the subtitle of it, it says the schools who receive first place votes in the coaches poll that got released today, and has Alabama, Ohio State, and Georgia looking fierce, and then has Texas as the weird looking one. And so to kind of add a little bit of texture to that, so Alex Sawyer tweeted, so first place votes, Alabama got 54 first place votes, Ohio State got 5, Georgia got 6, and then number 18 Texas got 1 vote. And he says absolutely hilarious. And yeah, I definitely want to know who, because I'm sure
which coach.
I think that's public information, so I'm sure that we could find out who voted for Texas as number 1 in the country. And
it probably was Texas.
Well, you mean somebody who cheers for Texas? Is that what you mean?
No, because remember the coaches poll is the
oh
coaches,
yes, gotcha.
But
gotcha.
typically it's not the coach himself. It's usually some intern that does the voting on their behalf. Like
gotcha.
So,
yeah,
somebody from the staff. I don't know. I mean, I'd be interested
would have
to
to
see
be.
which coach.
Yeah. Well,
it would have to be.
Yeah, who else in their right mind would put
trolling Texas?
Maybe it was Oklahoma. Maybe it was Oklahoma or Bama. Baylor, or I don't know. Maybe one of those guys.
Well, and you obviously hope that nobody's actually trolling, because I mean that's that you shouldn't be trolling on something like this. I mean, not say like this has a lot of weight, because keep in mind, obviously, like this is just a preseason poll put together on a coaches poll, and predominantly too, when people look at polls, they look at AP poll as definitely higher than what the coaches poll says, and then obviously above all that is a college football playoff poll, but that doesn't come into play until halfway through the season. So I mean, obviously nothing here really, but it's just hilarious that the team that on average was put as the number 18 team in the country got 1 first place vote. And again, that's a team that didn't even make a bowl game last year. So I mean, that's 5-7. So definitely ahead. Yeah, I know, exactly. Lost to Kansas too. Golly. So, but then they're going to go from losing to Kansas to beating Alabama and Georgia and Ohio State, and that ain't going to happen. And all because Quinn Ewers, right? And isn't that their highly touted transfer? Yeah, no, it ain't going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
The guy needs to see a little bit of football first. He's not. I don't think he's a Trevor Lawrence, but again, we'll see. We'll see about that. So jumping into the actual poll now, so kind of diving into it. So obviously the big news for us at NC State is obviously they put us as 13th in the country. So and there's 5 ACC teams that were ranked in the top 25. Clemson at 4, NC State at 13, Pitt at 16, Wake Forest at 9, and Miami at 17. So you literally have 4 ACC teams there between 13 and 19. Which is crazy, definitely a lot. And also you got 2 from the Coastal and 3 from the Atlantic in the top 25. So, Greg, what were your first initial thoughts?
So first thought, thinking about this, Wake Forest got jabbed because whoever voted that Texas first place vote, they get extra votes because of that.
Yeah.
So that probably propelled them over Wake Forest.
Probably.
So not that it would have probably made a big difference, but that, you could maybe say they're 18. But I think Clemson's too high. But that's just me. Like it's kind of name recognition at this point. State's right where I wanted us to be.
Yes.
I would have been okay. We're anywhere in the 11 to 14 range. So I thought we were right where we should be.
Yep.
So I'm happy. I mean, there's really, like you said, this really doesn't mean a whole hill of beans. It's more about the CFP come week 5 through 7, whenever they release that first one.
Yeah, or just really the AP poll. I mean, but yeah, at the end of the day, the college football playoff is what really matters. But again, obviously, and because one of the things that I kind of love is that I've heard Thayer Thomas say it today when they did the Thunder Burnett's kids interviewed Thayer, and then even on media day too, is that even though there's all this hype about in-state potentially win the ACC and being a top 10 team, like big game boomer push, in this college football playoff, things like that they still see themselves as the underdog, because but then they still haven't made it to ACC championship games, so they still see themselves as an underdog. So, which is what I love, because I mean, we'll kind of get into this too here a little bit, but obviously a lot of people are wanting to compare us to UNC last year, and again, we'll kind of get into that, but I just don't see that with this team, in terms of, I mean, we have the pieces, we have, I think, the right mindset, we have the coaches back, so but I agree with Greg. If you would have asked me, I would have said anything above 10, I'm a little like, I don't know about that. I like it. I mean, I'm appreciative, sure, but I'm like, I don't know about that. But anything below 15 would have been straight disrespectful. So the 13, in between Oregon, Oklahoma State, and then Michigan State and USC, I'd agree with that. I could roll with that.
I definitely think USC is a little high.
Yeah.
That's all recruiting. That's all
Yep.
just type of recruiting. Caleb Williams and
Yep.
Jordan
New
Addison
coach.
and coach.
But go ahead, Michael.
The first thing, this graphic is terrible because it goes up and down and
Yeah,
not left to right.
Yes,
But
I agree.
I've seen they've done this before for poll. It just doesn't make sense. You don't.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, the reason I liked it was because it was it was like in a square, not like a long
Yeah.
line, so it's
Yeah,
much easier to see on this. But anyway, go ahead, Michael.
Yeah. No, I think that's pretty accurate. I mean,
Yeah.
I think maybe you could have put us at Oregon, but because they have a new coaching staff.
Yep.
But like
fair.
Baylor and Oklahoma State, they both made the Big 12 championship last year. I think being behind them is fair. I mean, Michigan State and
Now, I'm surprised
USC
that
is
nobody
probably a little
said.
high. I
I'm
probably
surprised
wouldn't
nobody
drop
said
this-
Notre Dame. Notre Dame at 5 to me seems ridiculous a little bit.
I do
little
agree with
bit.
that. I do.
I don't know.
I mean, they have quarterback woes just like Clemson and Texas A&M do, which is why I'm also surprised that Texas A&M. I would put them closer to 10, if not closer to where we are, honestly, just because again, I mean, Texas A&M has been Texas A&M recently, but also too on top of it that they're going into the season not necessarily with an established QB1 this year.
That's
So that's kind of where my head's at. But anyway, go
Somebody
ahead, Greg.
refresh me. Utah, did they win the Rose Bowl or lose the Rose Bowl? I thought they lost, right?
They lost. That was an epic
It was
game.
close. It
It
was great.
was.
Yeah. Who did they lose
barely
to?
lost to Ohio State.
Ohio State.
Ohio State. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
No shame there.
Nah.
But they kept up with them, and that was.
Yes, they did.
I mean,
It was epic.
CJ
Yeah, it was a
Stroud
great
played. Their two receivers didn't play, Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson, but they're not on the team this year, anyways.
Right.
And they still kept up with them. So I think Utah has a good chance of winning the Pac-12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where I was going with that, what do you think about where they're at? You think they're a little high, or do you think right where they should be based off of how they finished last year?
They have
I
a lot of
thought
returning
they might be a
pieces.
little high.
I don't know. I'd have to look into their roster and schedule and see who's returning, but I don't know. Based off that Rose Bowl performance against Ohio State, and I know their quarterback's coming back, and he's very good, Cam Rising.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
only reason
probably
I
fair.
ask is because they've gotten, I think, kind of next to State. Now, State hasn't got as much dark horse, if you will, from big media. Some media is talking about them, obviously, for the CFP, but Utah seems to be the darling this year that has a chance to get in there. So I was just wondering, what you thought of there. I think Oklahoma might be a little high, just because of Venables' first year,
Probably.
But
Well-
I do find it interesting. If you take away that troll first place vote, Wake Forest is probably 18. So then you have 16, 17, 18 at ACC schools, and then you're saying by that Wake Forest is the 5th best ACC school, and I would argue that they were maybe the 3rd or 4th best ACC school.
Well, and one thing which I thought was funny too, which I kind of, because I wouldn't say I'm definitely not an Oregon fan, But just, I mean, I like, whenever I was younger, they're a team that I always looked to, and especially like when the
Yeah, they're a
Marcus
fun
Mariota
team.
years,
Yeah.
that was a fun team to watch, man.
Yeah.
They were flying up and down the field. And it's kind of funny to me that since Chip Kelly, the last two coaches that they've had have left them for other jobs. With the FSU coach,
Yeah, Taggart.
Willie Taggart.
Willie Taggart left Oregon to go to FSU, and then Mario Cristobal left Oregon to go to Miami. So it's like,
Yeah.
dang, nobody wants to stay in Oregon. What's going on with
Well,
that?
they
I
probably
think it's tough
dodged
to
the bullet with
recruit.
Taggart, but
Yeah.
Cristobal, that's a tough loss.
Yeah. I think
No.
it's one of those things. It's probably not the most easy of places to recruit to, just because
Yeah.
it's in the middle of nowhere.
But schedule's easy. Again, I mean, you
Yeah.
just stay there and you can be there, a coach for a long time there, and make
Yeah.
great money. And you have an easy recruiting pitch going, hey, here's pretty much a blank check from Phil Knight. All we need is, whatever how much money you need, you want to spend
Yep.
on uniforms. Yeah, we'll put that right here. So
Yeah, especially with USC being down as much as they've been, in the last decade.
Yeah, true.
It's become much more manageable out there.
Yeah, they're dying. They're desperate. And the Will Pryor says, to be honest, there's very little difference in teams 10 through 20. I would agree with that. We will need to win some close games. Absolutely. Yeah. No. Again, one game at a time. Let's get by ECU. Let's be 4-0 heading into Clemson, and we'll take it from there.
That's it.
So, all right. So with that being said, we'll move on.
Oh, hold on before we go.
Oh,
this
okay.
is the highest ranking we've ever been
preseason.
Preseason. Yep.
Cool. Okay.
Yep.
Well, and I'd be curious. I mean, assuming because I'm assuming that stat will more hold true once the AP poll comes out. Because
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
I mean,
these are usually very close.
yeah,
Yeah.
give or
Yeah,
take.
the best we ever before that was Phillips. I think junior or senior year we were 14th. So that was
Okay.
so we've bested that. So anyway, just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, no, appreciate it, Greg. All right, so wanted to kind of do a highlight here. This is actually a tweet I put out today, and I just kind of want to give a quick shout out real quick, just because I know that when this move was made, there was a lot of pushback, being like, what the heck? And basically, it was a tweet where during the victory day, I was lucky enough to cover it. I recorded a ton of different video footage for the vlog, which again to keep an eye out for. That'll definitely be a must-watch vlog for sure. Highlighting victory day, but got the honor to finally meet Ruffin McNeil. That again, I mean, for me, has been a goal of mine to meet him for a while, and I just really had to give a shout out to how great of a man he is. I mean, he is just unbelievable in terms of the bond that he grows with every single person he meets from the moment that he meets you. And I give an example of how at the end of the conversation, how I basically said to him that, there was no way my mom was going to believe that I met him unless we took a picture together. And after we took the picture, he said to me, "Say hi to your mom for me." And he said, "And I mean that." And to me, like, that was really cool, because he's never met my mom, but like, the fact that, again, he's just such a family guy. He's a guy that is so reliant on relationships, and he's so natural at it. And that's why, to me too, like, because I know from talking to some ECU fans, basically the reason why they got rid of Ruffin McNeil was because he wasn't great in front of the camera. He wasn't great with press conferences and things like that. That was a big piece of it. But again, I don't know, and it could have been too. Maybe they didn't see maybe we already are at our peak in terms of, maybe this was as good as it gets for Ruffin McNeil, but. Again, it's just like, I know that ECU wants to be that every single year top 25 program. That's why they put so much money into the facilities, but I don't know. Ruffin, he's an ECU guy. He played at ECU. He loves ECU inside and out. I mean, he brought you some of the best players that have ever played, have ever worn the ECU uniform. And, Shane Carden, Hardy,
Jeff Blake.
Yep. And then Chris Johnson.
Yep,
the running back,
running back,
Johnson, the running back.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So again, it's like, come on, y'all. Like, seriously, like that. So, but hey, at the end of the day, I'm all for it. I'm glad we have him because because one of the things too, because like a lot of NC State fans, like, why are we bringing him on? Like, he's basically just there just to be there. But again, first of all, the one thing which I will say from a youth standpoint is that there's no doubt that they're using it from a recruiting standpoint. I mean, just get him in front of get Ruffin in front of each recruit for 5 minutes. I'm sure that'll make an impact.
Yeah.
I'm sure for sure. So, but also too, because at the end of the day, keep in mind, the Dorn's a young coach. He is still a young coach. on average. Again, he's in his late 40s, right?
I think he just hit 50. I think is what we
just
talked
hit
about
50?
50, yeah.
Okay. So again, he's young. He's still got, 10, 15, 20 years if he wants it. And so he's still, got a lot to learn. Ruffin McNeil's been in the industry for a long time. So and him and Ruffin have a great relationship together. So when Ruffin obviously said that he wanted to come back to Raleigh or come back to North Carolina to, retire of a sort, or just kind of chill out a little bit, not be in Oklahoma, then, Doran said, absolutely, we'll bring you on. So again, just want to kind of give a shout out to Ruff there real quick. Again, a great guy. And again, love having him at NC State for sure. So moving on here. So men's basketball, and also too, first of all, Brandon Taylor says players love and have so much respect for Ruff. And yes, no, there's not a player I've ever seen that hasn't said great things about Ruffin McNeil.
And real quick, one if I could tie a bow on that. I mean, Coach Doran speaks so highly of Ruffin. Like, I mean, he literally considers him a mentor. Just to kind of, he's able, like Coach Doran said, like he's able to bounce ideas off of him. Whatever it may be, whether it's something about practice or game plan or just life in general. And it's, I think everyone needs that in their life, some kind of mentorship. And then, like Brandon said, the players love them. You hear in people's interviews, like they won't even ask about Ruffin in an interview, but someone will bring his name up constantly. So that's just a great thing to have on your staff.
Absolutely. I love it. Great little input there, Greg. So, and Benjamin as in there saying, I play softball with a guy who used to be a part of the Pirate Club, but after the athletic director got let go of Ruffin McNeil, he didn't renew his membership with the Pirate Club. And he said the Pirate fans loved Ruffin. Yeah, again, I mean, how can you not love Ruffin McNeil? What a great guy. And also, I mean, whenever he came out of the tunnel and he was hyping up the crowd and all that jazz, like that was the best. I love it. Yeah. So, all right. So jumping on over to men's basketball here. So again, for those who don't know, NC State's been spending some time, and they still are in the Bahamas doing some outside kind of exhibition competition. It was actually yesterday that they played the Bahamas select team, and all 13 of our guys got a chance to play in the fourth quarter. And obviously DeQuavian Smith, no shocker, led NC State with 26 points. Casey Morcell added 18 points. Jack Clark had a double-double with 12 points and 13 rebounds. That's pretty crazy. So, and I know Michael as well, there was a couple other stats that GoPack put out there. Am I correct on that as well?
Yeah. Sorry. Casey Morcell had 18 and 5 rebounds. He was the only player to play over 30 minutes. So I think Morcell is definitely going to be in the starting lineup. I know we've talked about he may not, but I think he definitely will be.
No, I think so too.
Jarkel Joyner had 14 points, 3 assists. And then Breon Pass had a really good game, who I think could be a key player for us. 7 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 0 turnovers. So
wow. Yeah.
Really good.
And keep in mind too, before you go, Greg, at the end of the day, we're not going to sit here and say like, oh my God, we're so good. Like, we have all these players going all these points and stats. Like, whoa, watch out. I mean, at the end of the day, it's basically just this opportunity is really just, okay, let's go out, let's do some team bonding things, but also too, in the meantime, let's use this time, basically just see where we're at, just, see who's gelling together, see what's working, see, who's good here, who's good there. And, let's go and figure some things out, as we're kind of heading closer to the season here. Because again, keep in mind, we're not too far away from the season here. I mean, it's creeping up on us. So we're getting there. But go ahead, Greg.
Well, I was just going to say one of the things Coach Keats talked about before they launched out to the Bahamas is he wasn't too worried about the results. To your point, he was looking for more as the combinations that could potentially work down the line, team bonding. People are going to see this score 92-81. Oh my gosh, we barely beat the Bahamas select team, whatever that means. But the key stat for me is all 13 guys got a chance to play in the fourth quarter. So they probably gave up more points than they scored in that part of the game. And if you looked at they had some tweets during the exhibition, and we were pretty much in control of that game throughout the whole process. So, before you get too high or too low on any aspect of it, you brought up a good point, Leighton. This is about just team bonding and seeing what you got and just playing against someone other than your own competition. So
I think the score was 77-56 at the end of the third quarter, and then the walk-ons played the whole fourth quarter. So
there you go.
Yeah.
And then we play, I think, is it tomorrow or Wednesday we play the Puerto Rican national team.
Tomorrow.
I think it's tomorrow. Yeah.
Tomorrow at 3.
I think that'll be a little bit more of a test. If I had to take a guess, I think they're going to probably be a little bit better than the Bahamas select team, but that's just my gut feeling. That's
probably
Olympic type competition.
Yeah, it's up there. So yeah, and obviously, it was great to see because obviously men's basketball, they had to put out there the 2 highlights of Big T putting down some bombs on the rim, and so it's good to see him rolling. But again, we got a lot of new pieces and a lot of pieces that we're not necessarily excited about in terms of like, oh man, they're going to be a dark horse AC Player of the Year, but like a lot of pieces that could be great. Pieces to build on, because obviously, like, for example, like we really need some help with 3-point shooting this year. We need some help with rebounding, and we definitely have some guys this year that Keats have added that can definitely help in those areas. And also, Jim, even from a assistant coaching standpoint as well, like, I'm sure this is an opportunity as well to even evaluate where we stand from assistant coaching standpoint as well. Not necessarily like, who's doing good or who's doing bad, but just, obviously with, it's just another piece to work with. It's another piece that you have to listen to. So,
well, that's a good point though, Leighton. It's because different coaches, coach different aspects of the game, right? So you got a defensive coach, you got an offensive coach. So like, that gets them into kind of the flow of how it's going to become the regular season. So
exactly.
And if the old coach Mark Gottfried would say, we got better today. So that's
oh man, yeah, Mark Gottfried, golly. That name just every single time, just we're not even gonna get into that. That's a different conversation for another day. All right. And Benjamin Elmer says we have a baby BJ Anya. LOL. Yeah, no, we have
BJ Burns is a big boy.
BJ Burns is a big boy. Yeah, no, BJ is a big boy. So looking forward to seeing him playing again. Looking forward to see some exhibitions here in the States for sure. When I think that's gonna be in early November.
I thought it was mid-October.
Mid-October to early, something like that. It's before, definitely before Thanksgiving, definitely before the holidays for sure. But again, not even thinking about that, thinking about football still, but just generally that's, kind of a timeline in terms of when you're going to start seeing some exhibitions here in the United States. So on to the next tweet of the week. We got from Dennis Wazak Jr., who said that, this was on the 5th. So this was on Saturday. Or Friday, saying that Zonovan Knight ends practice with a 65-yard run for a touchdown, cut back inside to shake free and took off down the middle untouched. Nice run by the rookie from NC State, #Jets. And again, so obviously, Zonovan Bam Knight got drafted, he didn't get drafted. He got picked up as an unrestricted free agent by the Jets. And then also adding on to that tweet is a tweet from Robbie Sabo saying the Jets, and this is today at 12:30 today, he said the Jets are not wanting to get rid of Zonovan Knight. He's fluid, shifty, can lower the shoulder at times, just showed off his elusiveness to get one over the goal line. So it's pretty cool actually to see. I mean, obviously for a team that just drafted the Iowa State, State.
Yep.
Brees Hall, and then obviously has a guy Michael Carter, who's a UNC running back, and some other pieces as well. The fact that they're still kind of borderline in terms of if they want Bam to make the 53 man roster or not. I think that speaks a lot about him, and I mean, not necessarily that, he's going to be a guy that, can be a top NFL running back, but I mean, if he's a guy that can compete for a 53-man roster, maybe not with the Jets, maybe with somebody else if he doesn't make it, but even make the practice squad and then work his way up there as well. Because I mean, keep in mind that first of all, I mean, practice squad is nothing to be too sad about. I mean, at the end of the day, you're still getting paid to play football, and you're getting paid pretty well to play it. But also too, in the meantime, it's a great opportunity to adjust yourself to the NFL game, because obviously, I think we can all agree, is that it's definitely a jump up going from college football to going against NFL talent. And so that's why, to me, it wouldn't necessarily be the worst thing if Zonovan went and played or spent a year in the practice squad. That way he could really just focus on adjusting himself, getting himself ready, and then come next year's training camp, he can find a place, whether it's the Jets or whatever, and go make some noise. But hey, I'm all for it if he can make the Jets 53 this year. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. I'll draft him in fantasy 16th round just for the heck of it. So
I think where
Yeah.
he's going to make his money is on special teams. If he's going to make the roster, he'll be a third or fourth string running back. Obviously, you want those guys to play special teams. He's got ability there. He's what he run like probably 4 or 5 back, I think, while he was at State. So I think he's in good shape by all indications. You'll see more once they start playing these preseason games, and that's the other thing. They only get 3 preseason games now to make an impact. So you got to get out there, and when you get your reps, you got to make the most of them.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he does. He's definitely a weapon on special teams. That he's, we saw it. We saw it here at State, and he can make those big plays. So.
Yep.
I may find myself watching a Jets preseason game. Never thought I'd say that.
Oh boy, Jets regular season game.
Yeah.
Hey. Yeah. And then I saw what Benjamin Ormond asked about any update on Ricky Person, and I actually just checked in. I mean, the latest tweet was from July 21st, and it was from an account that has like less than 100 followers. So I'm not even gonna put any kind of, because I don't know really how true this is. I don't even know necessarily what it means trying to read it here. So basically, we'll just keep it at no real update at this time. But as far as we know, I guess no news is good news when it comes to training camp, because I'm assuming if he got let go, that we probably would have heard about it. So, or whatever. So, Greg.
As a side note, it could be worse. You could be Kyle Trask of the Buccaneers, who had arguably the worst pass in preseason or practice history. It was so bad the Bucs deleted the tweet. So
really,
really.
So
that's funny.
Yeah, so you could be the other end of the spectrum. So
because think about it. I mean, if Brady didn't come back, Kyle Trask would have been
starter.
More likely the starter.
Yeah, the joke was we would have gone from first to Trask.
I love that. That's great.
Yeah,
that's great. I love that. And then Brendan also adds in saying being a weapon on kick return will help him make the roster as well. Absolutely. Because because I watch a lot of Hard Knocks, like especially like the older ones as well. And one of the things that every single time you watch a Hard Knocks, they pretty much every single time say that if a rookie wants to make the roster, they have to make an impact on special teams, unless they are just like a CD Lamb or like, just, the second coming. That's like, yeah, no, you don't need to make special. But if you're like a third or fourth round or lower, so basically as long as you're not top 2 guys, you need to make an impact on special teams. And not to say necessarily that second or first round doesn't need to make an impact too, but it just really kind of depends on the player. So obviously for, what he did on kick return, if he can also, like, I think that's honestly more what I'm excited about. Is I'm excited to hear that he's more doing well from a running back side than from a kick return side. So we know what he can do from a kick return side.
Good point.
So, all right. So with that being said, we're gonna jump on over here to Victory Day. I want to give a shout out here to Joe Shimko, our long snapper. WRL Sports Fan came on with an article about Joe, who actually donated $25,000 to DG's Playhouse. So again, first of all, I just want to obviously give a huge shout out to Joe. It has an amazing donation there to a great cause in Gigi's Playhouse. And I definitely highly recommend anybody who hasn't heard of Gigi's Playhouse, make sure to go check it out. Again, it's a great cause, giving, these kids who, unfortunately, through birth defects and things of that nature, were not able to, experience, playing a game like football, giving them an opportunity to be around in-state athletes, and in-state athletes in return can give them, that feeling of scoring that touchdown or catching that pass, playing on, playing in Carter Finley, playing in front of NC State fans. Like, it was an absolutely amazing thing. And because this was actually the first year that we did Victory Day with fans. And I can tell you from being there, it was one of the most amazing events I've ever been a part of. It was unbelievable, absolutely spectacular. And honestly, too, I can honestly say that the players actually made it way better. Just how every single player was, helping the kids. They were, doing everything they can to, to get the kids hyped up, when they were doing touchdown, like, teaching them, a touchdown dance. And because one thing which I'll remind you as well is, they had like 50 or 60 kids there, and every single kid scored a touchdown, which means that 50 or 60 times the football players had to replay, basically, setting up a run or whatever for a touchdown. And the first one was just as good as the last one in terms of, the acting, in terms of trying to go for a tackle, and, oh, you missed me, and all that jazz. So I mean, just it was unbelievable. So first of all, to those NC State fans that were there, thank you for being a part of it. But I would highly suggest for those next year to be there for sure. As it was an unbelievable event that you will for sure want to be a part of at least once. Check it out. I'm telling you, you will not regret it. So, Michael, Greg, anything to add on that?
No, it's a great event. I mean, they recently, that's just started in the last couple of years, I think. So
yeah, probably
I'm
about
glad we're
5 or 6
doing that.
years.
So
yeah,
a couple years ago.
I will say, yeah, if you have the ability to give a donation, they rely solely on donations from the public. So if that's something that's in your heart, just think about that. We've, the one thing that I'll add to that is, Coach Doran always preaches, servitude. And, I think that's the one thing that we do really great. I remember a couple years ago, AJ Cole was part of I think the all state or nationwide, whatever, like the giving back of the thing when he was doing all of his work in Africa for water. And so we have a great long line of that kind of stuff. So that's, if anything, that's what fans should be the most proud of. It's not the wins and losses. It's the kind of adults that we're churning out into the real world after their playing days.
Yeah. No, as long as Doran isn't making comments like Butch Davis, where he said his last year, we're champions in life. And so, a reporter said, how does it feel when you're not, when you've been here for so long, you haven't won a championship yet? And he said, well, we're champions of life. And it's like, well, that's great and all, so, but I mean, so that's what, I mean, not say that's not a great thing, but I'm just saying that maybe isn't what the answer should be there. But, because again, with that should speak for itself. Like, you shouldn't have to say we are champions of life. It should speak for itself. And obviously in this case, that literally our long snapper donated $25,000 to GG's Playhouse.
What 21-year-old kid does that?
That's unbelievable. That is absolutely unbelievable. And also, too, Benjamin did point out, I was actually going to point this out as well, Greg, that, yes, one of Coach Doran's sons actually has mental disability as well, whether it's Down syndrome or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it is, but he has 3 kids, and yes, one of them does have a disability there, so which is why it's so important to him. And so, again, I mean, just it's unbelievable what they do. And, again, it was such a great event. God, it was, and obviously the fireworks was unbelievable. Like, it was spectacular.
Yeah. And I think it's because of NIL that Joe was able to do that, right? He was able to raise the money.
Yes.
And I don't think you could do that as an athlete before.
Correct.
Yeah, I don't think you could, no matter what.
Not that much money.
Well, I don't think you. Yeah, I mean, it basically had to be your own money,
right?
And you couldn't really go out and get it. You can't, because I think, if I want to say Lawrence did something similar to this, and they had to get like a special permission for him to do it. That was before NIL.
Well, correct. Well, because they don't want to be a player accepting donations, and it's like, okay, well, who you were accepting those donations from, and where's that money going?
Yeah.
So, anyway, so
definitely makes it easier.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
so again,
at the very least, it was a hassle to do, and
yeah. So again, hats off to the coaches, hats off to the players, hats off to the fans, all of y'all, amazing, and amazing job. And again, keep an eye out for that vlog that will be coming up here in the next week or two. So that'll be a must watch. All right. So our last tweet of the week comes from Dan Siegel, which, first of all, if you haven't checked out the ACC content show that he has on a podcast, is definitely a great listen. So make sure to check that out. But he says, I don't see the UNC 2021 versus NC State 2022 comparisons. UNC had some clear flaws that most thought would be overcome by other group positions. NC State is well-rounded and a safe bet to be at least be good. Only similarities is they both play in North Carolina, and they both had high expectations. And exactly, that's one of the things that I know last year when we were kind of talking about season predictions, that Macon mentioned over and over again, like, how do you lose? I think it was like 6,000 yards of offense, but yet you're still going to be a top 10 team in the country. Like, there's not unless you're Ohio State and Alabama and Georgia as of now, unless you're one of those 3 teams, you're not replacing 6,000 yards of offense. It's just not happening. So, and obviously everybody said, oh, well, they got Sam Howell. Well, I mean, and not to say that Devin Leary is not Sam Howell, but I mean, just we'll see what happens this year. That's all I'm going to say about that. So, and we'll kind of, once Devin Leary finishes his time at the end of next year, then maybe we can talk about that comparison. But again, I mean, we got running back options. We got wide receivers that'll help Devin Leary. That's the thing, is that Sam Howell only had Josh Downs. He didn't have anybody else. He didn't have an offensive line. But I mean, we have three key pieces in the middle. We have, a guy that Doran has been very excited about on the left side, Anthony Belton. We have a guy that's seen a lot of snaps on the right side, Bryson Spees. And then we got guys like Tim McKay that can jump in there as well. So, again,
Eric Easton Jr., like,
Zavala, so again, because everybody's like, because there's a lot of people tweeting out, like, saying, oh, like, we don't want this, like, we need to stop talking. We need to stop talking, and we need to play the game, which is like, well, as long as the players aren't talking, that's when we need to step in and be like, well, we shouldn't talk. We should just play the game. But I mean, us as the fans, I mean, what are we supposed to do? In the meantime, like, all we can do is talk about it. That's all we can do is talk about the game.
Yeah.
So, it's, and again, because none of us are sitting here saying, oh, we're going to win it all, baby. Like, and I'm just saying this is the year we should and need to do it. That's just what I'm saying.
Yeah. Take the next
step.
Have
the best chance at it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And
one game at a time.
I don't know if you saw the NC State Pack 18 account comment on that, and he kind of ran down through the numbers where, running back wise, UNC's offense ran through their running backs, Michael Carter and Javonte Williams that year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we were last in the ACC in rushing last year. So I mean. And then
we were decimated by injuries. Go ahead, Michael.
But the receiving game, UNC returned only 18% of their receiving yards and 26% of their receiving TDs. NC State returned 61% of yards and 63% of TDs. So it's like, we lose the number one receiver, but we were spread the ball around more.
Yeah,
correct.
If you're gonna make the argument starts and stops at Icky. I mean, that's really. Right. In my opinion, that's where it starts and stops. And I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Well, and because, again, keep in mind that basically comes down to three things. If Anthony Belton can be solid, we don't need him to be icky, but just be solid. Yeah. And which Doran, I think, is very confident that he can be solid. And as long as, we can stay generally healthy, and then as long as running-wise we're not dead last, then we're right there at the top of the ACC. Like, think about that. We were literally dead last in rushing, and we were decimated by injuries, and we were a play or two away from being in the ACC championship game. Like, that's, I mean,
we're 2 plays away from only losing 1 game in the regular season.
Right. So again, it just keep that in mind that we're not that far away. Like, we're not asking for miracles here. We're just asking just a couple things to do your job. And then we're good from there. Which I will add a funny thing that actually at Victory Day. Yes, thank you. I actually spoke with Justin Smith, the head trainer, and I was like, because one of the things that during our things that state fans never it was our reactions video from the previous season that I did, and at one point I was joking after Peyton Wilson got injured, saying, all right, we need to bubble wrap this guy. I literally pulled up bubble wrap and I was literally telling Justin, I was like, I swear, if we need to bubble wrap that guy, whatever it takes, we cannot let him do it again. And Justin was like, listen, if that guy gets injured again, I might hand in my resignation along with it. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay. So I mean, because again, that guy, God, he's gotten bigger. He's fast he's a fast guy. I mean, I don't know if people realize how fast he is.
Yeah.
And he is athletic. So I mean, that dude, man, if he stays healthy, he'll be a first or second team All-American. Just go ahead and just put it in. I mean, that's it's easy as that. He's that talented.
Yep.
So but I wanted to kind of, sorry, go ahead, Michael.
No, I'd say I think he finished second in Defensive Player of the Year, the year that the kid from Notre Dame won it. So like he's already proven he can do it. He just has to stay healthy.
Exactly. Right. It's that simple. So wanted to kind of jump on these couple of comments before we wrap things up here. So Will Pryor said, my granddaughter has trisomy 9 and these organizations need to be supported. Absolutely. First of all, much prayers and thoughts to your family, Will. First of all, appreciate the support, obviously, but you can just it just cannot be preached enough, what great causes there are between the Jimmy V Foundation, the KL Foundation, and obviously here with Gigi's Playhouse as well. So many great people, so many great families and kids rely on these foundations. So please, 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 if you can afford it, even if it's pennies, and donate to any of these great causes, again, would be greatly, greatly appreciated. And again, we're not getting asked to promote that or whatever. That's just from us. As simple as that. Yep. So, Colby, make sure to reach out to us about that community, and we'll definitely see what we can do there.
Yep.
And then in-game jokes again, saying, "I told you guys to bubble wrap the defense, bubble wrap." And then that was the line from it. But anyway, all right, y'all. Well, again, I think that will be the end of it here for our Tuffy Talk live show this week. Go ahead, brother.
Yep. Shout out to women's basketball. They just sold out their season tickets. So awesome. And then real quick plug for NC State Sail Club. They're selling T-shirts to raise some money for a new boat for the coach. I went out and bought 2. You guys go out if you can, support those guys as well. Their information's on Instagram.
I got you. For both for the coach. Which coach?
Yeah, Coach Dana.
Oh, okay, Dana Magliola. Oh yeah. For sailing. Awesome. Yep. Yes. Thank you for reminding me about that. Yes.
Yeah, buddy.
So yes, definitely make sure to go and support the sailing team again. I mean, they've been to the national tournament 2 years in a row. Again, they're killing it. They're doing the right things, and so a little bit of support can go a long way. And then in return, you get a shirt from them as well. So great things there. And then yes, also too, go buy ECU tickets. There are a ton of tickets left. They're single game, only $70 before taxes and fees.
74 after.
74 after. So again, very not that expensive whatsoever. And again, it'll be obviously a great game, and we need to paint Greenville red, baby. Paint it red. So we look forward to seeing y'all there. So September 3rd, make sure to check out again our memberships as little as $2.99. Make sure to check those out. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you're notified and don't miss any content. Especially this week, y'all. I'm telling y'all, this week will be a banger for sure. And then obviously too, give us a follow, Tuffy Talk Now on Twitter, Instagram. But thank you all so much again for joining again, and we'll see y'all next week. As always, go Pack, y'all, baby.